Welcome to Y11 Audio. I'm Alex Alvarado. Thank you for listening. If you're a returning listener, thank you for subscribing already. And if you're new here, hey, now's a good time to join them. This is the podcast that covers all things EMU sports, college football, etc. The season's only 10 days away. Only 10 days away. Jesus Christ, man, where did the time go? It's time to watch football. Or at least it's time to get ready to watch football, right? From home and in person. But from home, especially, yeah, you want to watch it from home. It's definitely the sport made for TV. If and of course it's 2022. It's not like the old days. You can't just throw on your favorite pair of like holy socks, get back into the reclining chair, just press over the clicker and just like let the guide tell you when and where football is going to be. It's never the case. The guide is gone. I miss the guide. So let me be your guide right now. If you don't have a game plan for how you're going to, watch college football this year, if you don't know exactly which games you have to watch on which channel and how you have to get about getting there, that's not a good idea to be in. For MAC fans, for Eastern Michigan fans, let me tell you where you need to be at. You need to make sure that you have your Mickey Mouse family of networks. That's easy to find. You need to have your ESPN Plus subscription. That sucks. Maybe you're bundling with Hulu if you're going down the Hulu route, the Hulu Live route. That's the best way of going about that, especially if you're going to have Hulu too, because Hulu's prices are jumping up too. You need to have access to CBS Network. You just need to have access to other football too, just other football you like. The MAC's not going to be the only ticket that you watch. I know that. But do you have the other channels that you need, depending on like what channel your team plays on? Eastern has a couple of new channels that it's going to watch or going to be seen on weeks 2 and week 3 this year. Eastern is going to be at Louisiana on the NFL Network, the 14th program you think about when it comes to watching live football. And then there's the Arizona State game in week 3 at like the dead at night. Local won't be the dead at night, but here it will be. They're going to be on the Pac-12 Network. That's, of course, not on a lot of streaming services. When I look for like what has what I mean that like what streaming service has what channel, at Valley Shook, who should be in the Mount Rushmore of LSU bloggers, always does a good job of keeping up with this topic and sharing his spreadsheet of what channels are available through what service provider, and this answer has changed a lot. I'm sure he gets a lot of work done on this spreadsheet, but he's got Sling TV listed, he's got Hulu, he's got YouTube TV, he's got Fubo. Fubo's a good option, and DirecTV Stream, which sucks. Like I said, a couple of channels you need. One is CBS Sports Network. You can't get away with having Sling TV and trying to watch CBS Sports Network. It's just not going to work out for you. If you are a fan that needs some Pac-12 action, Sling TV is the way to go, and so is Fubo TV. You're probably not going to sign up for either of these long term. Probably, definitely not Sling TV. But you could prove me wrong. I don't know. Each of these guys have like 7-day free trials. So when it comes to the Arizona State game, maybe you want to try either of those guys out. The maximum prices that Valley Shook has listed here for Sling TV, the maximum sports cost on Sling he has for $77. Maximum sports cost on Fubo is $100. So I don't know what your long-term plans are with these channels are going to be, but you're going to have to know your risks with these because Sling, like I said, doesn't have CBS Sports Network, doesn't have Stadium if you're into watching, I don't know, like 5th tier, like CUSA, Sunbelt games. It doesn't have Bally either if you're huge into like NBA or MLB, because you're going to need those regional channels. If you're a Hulu TV or a Hulu Live person, I should say, you're not going to have Longhorn Network, not going to have any of the Bally regional stuff or the Pac-12 or Stadium. And you're not going to have some of these other channels like NHL or MLB, but you will have NFL, you will have CBS, You will have Big Ten Network. Big Ten Networks are going to be available on all these channels. So is Fox Sports. So is the Mickey Mouse channels, ACC, SEC. Those guys are going to be on all of them. But YouTube TV is pretty. This one's interesting. I was a big YouTube TV person, especially once it was like kind of new and it was only like $35 a month and it was excellent. It was awesome. I still think it's a really cool product. And today, Tuesday, there was a report that came out that said that YouTube TV is going to add a Messiah mode. Essentially, it's just going to be the quad screen setup where you're going to have four streams going on at once, essentially 4 games. And what are those 4 channels that you're going to have on there? Yes, of course. The 4 channels that come to mind are ESPN, Fox, ABC, and CBS. Those are the ones that occupy your time. You're not going to see ESPN2 on your quad screen setup, at least not like as a steady screen, you know. Also, if you're a YouTube TV person, you're not going to have any Bally channels up there. You're not going to have any Pac-12 Network channels. You can still get some CBS. You can still get some Stadium on there. But again, you only have 4 slots to work with. I get it. You know, maybe you'll swap out an ESPN2 and an ESPNU in one of those quads, but I guarantee your setup's not going to look like ESPN2, ESPNU, CBS Sports Network, and Stadium. Because then you don't even have room for NFL Network. You don't have any room for ESPN for EMU Louisiana. You don't have any room for that channel. Fubo TV, I was trying to hype that up a little bit ago. It has the most offerings of all these streaming packages. But it does not offer 3. It doesn't have Longhorn Network. It doesn't have Bally Regional. Which so far, if you're me, that's okay. And actually for me, this might be okay too, because I'm not huge into like the NBA. So I'm not going to watch too much TNT or TBS. But that's one major channel that it doesn't offer. All the other ones do, but that's a huge one. DirecTV, I just stay away from DirecTV. I personally don't love it, especially if you're living in this state. Like, why would you do that? Why would you do that? Probably because it has Bally. It's the only one of these channels that have these streams that have Bally. But it doesn't have Pac-12 Network, doesn't have Stadium. That's fine. Doesn't have NFL Network, doesn't have Red Zone. But yeah, I generally just don't like DirecTV. Like the minimum that Valley Shook has listed here for the cost is $90, maximum $95. I don't know, and it's just hard, especially in this state when like storms happen all the time. It's just hard to get a good connection on there, especially like once it's gone, and you want to watch, you know, really bad football and really bad weather live. You're just not gonna get it. So Messiah mode, if that was something that enticed you, I just kind of want to paint out like what that would look like if you were a YouTube TV person and you wanted to use this 4 quad setup. Like, how would it work? Let me just start by saying it's not gonna use ESPN Plus, right? And if you're a MAC fan, if you're a college football fan in general, there are going to be games that are behind the ESPN Plus paywall, and they're just not going to be on that 4-screen setup, no matter how you dice that up, unfortunately. You can do that if you have like a second TV and you're using that for like your ESPN Plus games and ESPN 3s. I think you can still do that, but that's such a second setup and it's so extreme. And plus, you don't have to do that. I just told you it's so extreme. But if you're going for that 4-screen setup, and if that's something that enticed you, let me tell you some things before you actually pull the plug. This is when it'd actually be useful. And I looked at just the Mac only schedule, right? I only used it for that because if I were like a Mac diehard, what are the most busy kind of like non-conference time zones or time slots that I'm looking at where I would want to watch 4 screens of action all at once if possible? Week 2 at at dinner time, 6-7 o'clock, there's 6 games going on, but only one of them you can really watch live in that setup because 4 of them will be on ESPN Plus, one's going to be on the 3, and Eastern Louisiana is going to be on NFL Network. Week 3 afternoon, sandwich time, only one of them is going to be on their CBS Sports Network, and the other one, one of 3 are going to be going on. One's on CBS Sports Network, 2 are ESPN Plus, and then 7 o'clock, week 3, same day, 2 of the 3 games are going to be or you can use the quad screen setup for it, because one's going to be on ESPNU, one's going to be on Fox, and one is on ESPN Plus. What channels are all these games going to be on this season? There's only so far, looking at just non-conference games. I'm not going to get into weeknight shit. But even then, like the weeknight stuff, I don't think really any is going to hit ESPN. The only ESPN proper game that's going on this year for non-conference action is happening opening weekend on a Friday, which sucks. Western at Michigan State. Yeah, it's nice to be a hot ticket and all that stuff, and yes, it can be a good environment in the moment, but it's Friday night. You're making people, make a choice here. If you have high school to care about, if you have high school football to care about, that's a real choice. ESPN2, nothing going on. ESPNU, Pitt at Western Michigan, and then there's Cincy versus Miami, Ohio at Paycor Stadium. God, one, stupid name. Two, if it's going to be at a neutral site, NFL Stadium, don't be on ESPNU. SEC Network games, there's 4 of them, but I'm not sure about 2 of them. I'm not sure if like the Akron, Tennessee game and the Kent State at Georgia games, God bless them, if those are going to be behind the ESPN Plus paywalls. I'm not really sure about that yet. ESPN's listing's kind of confusing me right now. But on SEC Network for all to see, Ball State at Tennessee, Miami at Kentucky. I believe they're both week 1 games as well. ESPN 3, it's not going to be on TV. You do need a cable provider in order to watch these games, and then you just like go on Watch ESPN, you log in through your cable provider, and then you can access these games. That's not the same as the paywall. That's different. But week 1, there's 3 of those games. Week 2, there's 2 games. Week 3, there's 2 games. And so far, they still got to figure things out. So far, nothing on week 4 yet behind ESPN 3. On ESPN Plus, behind that paywall, people love that. There's going to be 3 games in week 1. There's 6 games in week 2, 3 in week 3, and so far 1 game behind the ESPN Plus paywall in week 4. For the nationally televised games on ABC, Ohio at Penn State at noon on ABC. Historically, nothing bad has ever happened to either school during that game, so that'll be great to see. Fox, there's only 1 game on Fox that includes the MAC. That's going to be pretty good. Toledo at Ohio State. I am very excited to see what the ratings look like for that. FS1, everybody has that channel. Central Michigan at Oklahoma State. Remember how that game ended last time? Kent State's going to be at Washington on that channel. I think that's like a 10 o'clock game, or even then, like I don't care what channel or what time you put that game on. I'm probably not going to watch that, honestly. CBS Sports Network, again, not on Sling. You need this channel for like November Action, and you need this channel for Vanderbilt at NIU. You need this channel for Western Michigan at San Jose State. Bally, you really only need that if you're into NBA and MLB, but that's on DirecTV only. The NFL Network, there's only 1 MAC game that I can tell right now that's going to be on there. That's Eastern at Louisiana. Again, that's not on DirecTV, so you need to figure something else out if you have DirecTV, if you're a user of that, and you want to watch that game. Maybe you want to, you can really just try out like literally any other streaming service and try to get a free trial out of those guys. Big Ten Network, you're all good. I'm not going to list down all the Big Ten games on here. Big Ten Network games. I will list the Pac-12 Network games. Of course, you need to get onto Sling. You do need to get onto Fubo TV and try to check out Bowling Green at UCLA week 1 and Eastern at Arizona State week 3. But that week 3 game, you got to remember, that's at the dead at night. 11 o'clock local. That sucks. That sucks a lot. So one thing I finally found the link to was viewership of games. I found a link to that. The link is Sports Media Watch, I believe it is. I need to point out before I even get going on this that, sportsmediawatch.com, that the listings of all these games, they don't include CBS Sports Network, which is, I don't know why. I just now found it. And it would be super, super helpful for this exercise I'm about to do, because the MAC relies on CBS Sports Network so heavily, and so does other G5 programs or G5 leagues like Mountain West for sure. But I was looking at the list because it had the average number of viewers per game throughout the season last year, and it has seasons past, but I only looked at last year. If you had to guess what the most watched game was that included a MAC team, any game, minus bowl games, I didn't look at all that, minus bowl games, what do you think the most watched game with a MAC team was? I'm going to go down the list of essentially every week and just kind of tell you what the story of TV viewership for the MAC kind of looked like and everything. None of these are going to include CBS Sports Network, like I said. It's not going to include viewership of ESPN3 games, and it's not going to include viewership of games that are behind the ESPN Plus paywall. So those are some numbers that like we really wish could be thrown into all of this. But I think, the list that we have, the numbers that are available on Sports Media Watch, I think it does a good enough job of painting the picture of where the excitement level or the engagement of everybody with the MAC is. I should also point out that I didn't read it, but I believe that the way the numbers are listed for average viewers, if it's below 100,000 average viewers on a specific game, it's just going to say not available. In week 1, there was only one game listed on this list that had that was nationally televised. That was Kent State at Texas A&M on ESPNU at 8 o'clock, a really crap time on really bad TV channel, but 285,000 viewers, pretty decent. Week 2, the most watched game out of that bunch was, of course, the one that got the Penn State bump. Ball State at Penn State, FS1, had 881,000 average viewers. That's a lot. Buffalo at Nebraska is second place for that week, 626,000. And then a huge gambling game was Eastern at Wisconsin, because you got to remember Wisconsin's offense in week 1 was garbage. But yeah, a lot of people hung on after the Ball State game to watch the beginning of Eastern Wisconsin, and that had 557,000 viewers. 2 games where there weren't any, there wasn't a number for viewership listed. Miami at Minnesota, and the big one, Toledo at Notre Dame. I'm sure this one actually had more viewers than Ball State, Penn State, especially for like when things got crazy and the only way you could watch it was, through its, you just had to sign up for it. You just had to sign up for Peacock for a little bit. But that game got really, really exciting, and that was a game where if you were not watching in the third quarter, you were not watching. So I'm sure that got a lot of in-game attention. There's nothing listed on the website that talks about the viewership numbers of this game, but I'm sure it was really, really high. I'm sure it was the biggest game of the weekend, especially in this roster of games. Week 3, a couple of noon games. Well, actually, week 3 on Thursday before the weekend even came up. Ohio was at Louisiana. That had a pretty good showing. Almost 700,000 average viewers watched that on ESPN. That was, it's hard to get on ESPN proper, so good for those schools to make the most of that situation. But 515, 512,000 for viewers of Kent State, Iowa, that was like part of a regional broadcast with, you either got that game on Big Ten Network or you had your Rutgers game hosting some FCS school. There was another 500,000 watching NIU at Michigan, less than 300,000 watching Coastal at Buffalo on ESPN2, and Toledo, which hosted Colorado State and sucked at it on ESPNU, no average viewing listed there. No average viewing listed for week 4 in Bowling Green's huge upset at Minnesota. You would have thought that would be the game that everyone watched, because that's the only game I remember watching at all that week. Week 4 also 367,000 viewers for Kent State at Maryland on Big Ten Network. And that was also part of a regional package with you were either watching that or Illinois, Purdue. God bless you. There was another regional packaged game of Ohio at Northwestern or Villanova, Penn State on Big Ten Network. That package got 570,000. Hey, it takes the, teamwork makes the dream work, right? The most. Now, this is the game for the trivia question that I asked earlier. Week 4, 7:30, Big Ten Network, 1.075 average viewers. Boop. Million. I forgot to say million. 1.075 million average viewers. Of course, it's because Ohio State hosted Akron. Yes. So good. I don't remember what the build-up of. There was a very stupid build-up to that game, too. I got to go back and find it, but it was wonderful. Week 5, nothing going on. Week 6, again, nothing really going on. There were a couple of Maction games. There's a Maction doubleheader on ESPNU on a Saturday, and still no average viewing listed. That really sucks. That's really bad. 3:30 it was Ball State at Western. 7 o'clock it was Buffalo at Kent State. Really good introduction to these MAC divisions. really good intro to these MAC divisions. If you want to get into some sicko shit. But no, nobody really wanted to sign up for that. Nobody wanted to sign up next week either when Kent State was at Western Michigan. And the week after that, nobody wanted to sign up for NIU at Central Michigan. All 4 of those games were on ESPNU. None of them cracked 100,000. Different time slots too. Went from noon to 3:30, 7 o'clock. Just nothing cracking at all. I don't know if it's because of MAC or I don't know if it's because ESPNU just is not the greatest production in the world. And there weren't any games even televised for nationally televised. At least not by Sports Watch. I don't know anything that was going on CBS Sports Network. I'm not looking back that far. But week 9, nothing going. Weeknight Maction games. Now we're getting to the good stuff. Weeks 10 through 12. Here are the 6 highest viewed games by CBS Sports Network or by Sports Media Watch. Again, no CBS Sports Network. Number 1, NIU at Buffalo on the Deuce, 516,000. Ball State at NIU on the Deuce, 470,000. Western at Eastern on the Deuce, 428,000. Ohio at Eastern on number 2, 294,000. Eastern at Toledo on, you guessed it, ESPN 180,000. And then Kent State at Central on ESPNU at 155,000, but less than 100K for Central at Western. Less than 100K for Central Western. Nobody wanted to watch you. Miami at Ohio had less than 100,000. Jesus, that's 2 huge rivalries. That's 2 huge rivalries on ESPNU that had less than 100,000 viewers. CS, oh my, that's so bad. That's really terrible. Buffalo, Miami, Bowling Green, Miami, Central Ball State, all under 100K viewers of those games. Really bad showing. Again, those were all on ESPNU as well. If you get ESPNU, you don't want to be on that channel. You just don't. I don't get why the 2 is so much more valuable than the U, but it just is. It just does not make sense. Week 13, Saturday games. Well, a Tuesday and a Friday, but nothing going on there. Less than 100,000 for each of Western, NIU, and Eastern Central. And then the championship week, where did the MAC rank? Where did they rank? What was the viewership number? The viewership number was 867,000 average viewers for the MAC championship game, which was at noon on a Saturday. And it was the 7th highest rated conference championship game. Honestly, that's not a bad place to be at. As bad as that sounds at first, it's really, really not that bad. You would much rather crack a million than not, of course. But the other ones that are ahead of you were the SEC on CBS, the Big Ten on Fox, Big 12 on ABC, Pac-12 on ABC. That was the night before, though. The American on ABC. The ACC on ABC. That's at night. Yeah, so the MAC was going on at the exact same time as the Big 12 game, which had 8 million viewers on average going on. And the MAC had over 800,000. So there's really nothing here for you to learn. I just wanted to throw out a bunch of numbers to you. I wanted to let you know, hey, get yourself ready for college football. Get yourself ready on the channels. And just know that, oh man, I'm watching this game on ESPN. That means millions and millions of people are. No, just you. Well, you and like a few 100,000, but generally speaking, if 1 million people are watching, it's probably because Ohio State's involved.